Kailash journey of a communist. Pilgrimage to the Kailash has long been a cherished dream of my wife. A 2-week-long, highly hazardous Himalayan trek. To discipline the body and the mind for this, training for a period of at least 3 months is required. Being a communist, my first reaction was to become elusive. But my wife, who is researching in devotion, had no plans of letting me be. I finally had to surrender and give in when the tone and mode of her request started to change. I have never been a blasphemous communist. There always existed a mind in the comrade in me who saw the fellow being as himself, while not being reluctant to recognize an unknown force as the creator of the universe. This formless God has neither caste nor religion. What enabled me to distinguish between the rights and wrongs, and also to guide me in my actions, has been the fear of God, based on the sin of karma. Finally, I decided to conceive that God in the form of Kailashanathan for a few days. Kailash, beyond the spiritual center, has always been a riddle to my scientific curiosity. I wonder why no one has ever conquered this peak, just 21,778 feet above the sea level. Those who ventured have either returned back midway or have lost their lives. Even those who conquered the Everest with ease are scared of this unconquerable peak. Its magnetic force, capable of swirling of helicopters on flying over it, is more terrifying than the Bermuda Triangle. The Kailash, which is covered by snow even during summer, is the holy center of the 4 religions: Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Bon. It is believed that circumambulating 50-kilometer plus path around Kailash in 3 days, overcoming the harsh conditions, parikramam, would bring us ultimate salvation. I have been hearing, since my childhood, that taking a deep bath in the Mansarovar lake near Kailash would wash off all sins and bring us moksha, or salvation. Heard from folk tales, told by great-grandmothers, that when goddess Parvati comes to bathe in the lake, a mysterious light and fragrance fills the area. It is believed that another lake called Rakshasthal is situated near Mansarovar. Myths say that the lake is known by this name because it was created by Ravana, the demon king. Despite being a communist, I have to accept the fact that these stories and legends churning in the depths of my subconscious mind did escalate my interest in this Kailash trip. My wife had started preparation before 6 months itself. A special foreign trainer for body regimens, training like yoga practice for breath control, horse riding, mountain climbing with heavy backpack for improving endurance, and so on. I was astonished to see all this. At last, I also decided to get into a 3-month training under a separate trainer. Special trainer arrived. I was pushed to the extreme by strenuous exercises, diet control, and medication. Though we failed in the first medical checkup as a result of hardcore training, the doctor granted us both the green signal to proceed at the last minute. Even though the belief of Kailashanathan is of Indian origin, we need the mercy of China to reach Mansarovar, since it is situated in Tibet. The journey to Mansarovar is allowed only for 3 months every year, and this year, visit visa is being granted only for 10,000 pilgrims. In order to avoid overcrowding, Tibet entry permit was granted only for a few days. It is not predictable when the permit will be granted because of the climate's highly volatile nature. The agent's office is at Kathmandu. After submitting the passport at Delhi office, we are supposed to get back to Kathmandu and wait there. Application for visa can be furnished only after the Chinese are pleased to issue the Tibetan permit. I was taken by surprise when I came to know that there isn't any kind of preference for communists. We departed from Cochin on June 8th as a team of 48 members and reached Kathmandu via Delhi. The travel agent had previously given a long list of things that each pilgrim is entitled to carry along: garments for extreme cold, shoes, medicine, snacks, torch, toilet tissue, Chinese currency, voter's card, medicines, medical certificates, and also rice for cooking porridge. Apart from this, insurance for bringing back the body if something fatal happens was also listed. Since passport was submitted for visa procedures, we had to use the voter's card for entering Nepal. People from different walks of life are in the group, including Swamis of Shankaracharya Mutt. Many are also retired. At Kailash, pilgrimages organized by the Indian government do not allow anybody below 18 years and above 70 years of age. Age barrier is not a concern for private tour operators. The agent made us believe that we can depart from Kathmandu within 2 days. And in those 2 days, we also had to visit many temples in that region. Flights over the Everest was also part of the tour package. Unfortunately, owing to the worsening climate at Kailash, the Tibetan permit got delayed. Days passed on, and we covered every single temple within 50-kilometer radius and still got no clarity about the visa. What good is saying that this is a devotional journey? There is a limit even for temple visits. Eventually, many devotees started losing their patience. There are many NRIs in the group who are on leave from their jobs abroad, and their job security couldn't be ensured by Kailashanathan himself if they failed to join back on time. At last, after a long wait of 8 days, we got the permit. Next, the visa must arrive. We set out for Nepal Gunj. The climate there was scorching. From there, the journey to Simikot is on a small aircraft with a seating capacity of just 15 people. Then to Hilsa, which is the border village of Nepal, by helicopter, which can carry 5 people at a time. The luggage should be packed into 2 small bags given by the agent at Nepal Gunj before proceeding. Gradually, coldness of the climate will escalate step by step. The body and mind should be prepared to endure the gradually ascending cold. To avoid altitude sickness, Diamox tablet was to be taken daily. The number of garments worn should be increased day by day to ward off the bone-chilling cold. Finally, it may go up to 6 layers. Taking a bath is totally out of the question. The 9,246 feet Simikot Airport runway is only 549 meters long, which is even worse than our native bus stand. But we can see aircrafts and helicopters landing and taking off all across the airport every 5 minutes. Flights are to be halted in case of rain and snow and often leads to stranding of passengers at the airport for days. The helicopter ride to Hilsa is not meant for tender-minded people. Many freeze out of fear. Involuntary discharge of stool and urine can occur to some, which I have witnessed myself. We should stay back at Hilsa till we get hold of our visas. It is the most unhygienic room imaginable, crammed up with 5 to 6 people. 1 bed and a blanket which had not been washed for years are the only facilities provided. Since the toilets are extremely filthy, when nature calls, better to step out into nature itself and resort to open defecation. If we wish to eat something tasty, we have to cook porridge out of the rice we brought from homeland. Every night, there is a ritual of group singing of devotional songs, but mostly they are sung in praise of Lord Krishna, Ayyappa, Ganapati, etc. Marginalizing Kailashanathan on a Kailash pilgrimage, the revolutionist in me resurrected. If Vayala, the communist, can write devotional songs, why can't I also give it a try? Maybe traces of devotion in my subconscious mind is the reason behind which I had written a few Krishna devotional songs for the music album Muralika. Anyway, I did that hard act. Immediately wrote 14 lines, named it Kailasha Yatra, and sent it to Biju Ram, which he composed, sang and sent back the very same day. As soon as I disseminated it on social media, compliments started flooding in. Thus Kailashanathan converted the communist in me to a devotional poet. We were trapped in Hilsa for 2 days without getting the visa. Nights get lit up only if the generator works, and only then can we charge our mobile phones. Nearby is a river. Beyond the river is Tibet. It is now under China. There is a bridge connecting both the shores. Looking at the other side, a totally different world can be experienced. A giant immigration building, boardways, solar panels, microwave tower, and passenger buses. The communist in me would wonder in awe comparing these two scenarios forever. The next moment, when I ponder about the anti-entrepreneurship attitude seen in my native state Kerala, my wonder transforms into sheer rage. Had Tibet been an independent country, it would have turned out to be in a more pathetic state than Nepal today. An ordinary Chinese even hate hearing the word Dalai Lama. If any pilgrim happens to carry a photograph of Dalai Lama in their phones, they will be sent back. At last our visa arrived and we crossed the bridge. Permission for further journey was granted only after a prolonged security checkup. The journey is resumed by bus. Scenes of development can be seen everywhere. Now, Tibetans are a minority in Tibet. Bringing in Chinese people, all the goodness got wiped out from the land. Shops are flooded with duplicate goods. Nobody there knows English. The journey ended up in Mansarovar, the freshwater lake situated at a height of 15,000 feet, covering an area of 410 square kilometers and a depth of 300 feet. The holiest of pilgrim centers, but not even basic amenities, even a toilet. We can see people sitting for open defecation, irrespective of wealth, gender, caste or religion, like nowhere else in the world. I cannot understand why China, which is obsessed with development, has turned a blind eye to Mansarovar. It is said that after China realized the unlimited potential of pilgrimage tourism, it is planning to strengthen the pilgrimage route via China so that the pilgrimage can be completed wholly within a period of 5 days. A small room was allotted to me, my wife Abini, and 4 other women. I fell asleep exhausted, while all the women stayed up waiting for the enchanting early morning scenes occurring at Mansarovar, which usually occurs during Paurnami and subsequent days. But we arrived a few days late. When I woke from my sleep, what I saw was my wife and a group returning back from watching the expected enchanting scenes. They believed they had experienced a blue light descending from the sky and the fragrance of flowing holy ash, to the utter disappointment of the communist in me who wanted to unveil the scientific reason behind this phenomenon. Even though it got over, should I try taking a look? What if it repeats? I got out and started walking. After a while, I saw a light moving in a far corner, but it wasn't blue in color. A special smell in the blowing wind, but it was not that of the holy ash. The investigator and me woke to life. I started walking towards the direction from where the light was coming, and on reaching there, I saw that it was nothing but the headlights and the torches of a group of people sitting in for open defecation. After many days, a fogless, crystal-clear day came up. Far away, Kailash was visible very clearly. I saw tears running down the eyes of a pilgrim in self-realization who was unable to see Kailash due to foggy climate on his last 3 trips. I took a deep bath in Mansarovar around 10 a.m. in the morning, while many other people were not able to dip themselves in the water due to restrictions from the part of the authorities. They had to collect water in a bucket and pour it over their heads to take a bath. Bone-chilling cold. Many caught fever, and one among us got hospitalized that night. There is a ritual after the holy bath in Mansarovar. Ceremonial offering to ancestors can also be performed. Then we toured Mansarovar in a bus, collected the holy water in bottles along with some pebbles were taken back to the beloveds back home. Then we reached Darchan, where we spent the night resting. In many days, that was the first night in a decent hotel, and the long hot shower there was amazing. Have to start circumambulation parikrama early next morning. Only a weightless small backpack and a walking stick can be carried along. Have to take an oxygen bottle as well. 1 horse and a Sherpa will be available for 3 days for rupees 35,000, which must be remitted at the time of booking itself. It will not be refunded whether we use it or not. The pilgrim who got hospitalized earlier had lost his entire family's amount since he couldn't make it. They have taken it as a right to plunder the pilgrims without any care or consideration. Those who reached there on former days had to return without completing parikrama. The climate in Kailash is like a resenting wife, unpredictable. Circumambulation, parikrama begins by passing through the Yama door, corridor of the god of deaths. The act of crossing this door is supposed to leave behind something in you for a new life as you move towards Kailashanathan. I decided to walk on foot by leaving behind the horse booked by my wife, Abhini, because the communist in me believed that moksha will go to the horse and not to me if I ride on it. But the horseman, not understanding my language, came along with his horse anyway. At first, I started walking, taking long strides. Gradually, my enthusiasm started to fade away. I forgot the fact that the level of invisible oxygen decreases as the altitude increases. Understanding that I couldn't walk abreast with my wife, who was riding on a horse, finally I complied with the warning of my wife to mount the horse. I saw a lot of Tibetans who would take more than 20 days for the parikrama because they are in a state of devotional intoxication, making them sit down and prostrate after taking each step. When we see the fervent devotion of these innocent people, we are inclined to drown the devout in us. Traveling 12 kilometers, enjoying the sights of Mount Kailash close by from 3 different directions, we completed the first day's parikrama at Tirapuk, worse accommodation than Hilsa. Despite the 6 layers of clothes, the cold was still bone-chilling. The chilling temperatures came down to minus 19 degrees Celsius gradually. Strenuous gasps had to be taken for breath. Checked the oxygen level, and it was within the limits even though low. Sleep-deprived, drops of blood dripped from my nose. A nightmarish night it was. Next day, we have to walk 22 kilometers. That too through snowfields at a height of 19,000 feet. My mind started murmuring that I cannot walk an inch ahead. Some pilgrims summoned ambulances and returned at night itself. But my wife is stubbornly insisting on completing the parikrama. I couldn't sleep even after 2 o'clock in the morning. Empathizing with my pathetic condition, a doctor friend among us taught me some breathing exercises for half an hour. A slight relief for body and mind. Only thereafter did I sleep a bit. Waking up next morning, we were informed that parikrama had to be stopped and to prepare for return journey due to unfavorable weather conditions. I felt like frisking around. After enjoying the changing colors of Kailash during sunrise, when I escaped with my life, jumping into the first ambulance I got, others were still standing spiritually captivated and enthralled in the realization of visiting Mount Kailash. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that the god of Kailash would give me such a punishment as a communist who came for the tour as a half-devotee. On my way back, I saw Rakshasthal very close by. It's just 4 kilometers away from Mansarovar. Even though this is not a freshwater lake, it is 3/4 the size of Mansarovar. I stayed at Thekala Court that night with the wish of reaching home by any means and reached Hilsa the very next day. When I reached there were many pilgrims stranded for many days without getting helicopters. We were supposed to wait till they left. Helicopter arrives when the weather becomes good. The group tickets for Cochin passengers were after 3 days, and our destination was Dubai. I endured for 1 day. Realizing that staying back this way would only worsen things, I thought of chartering a helicopter. There were also friends who accompanied us from Dubai. Anyway, the trick worked well. The helicopter that needed to be chartered for rupees 1 lakh took off that day exclusively for us when I placed a $100 note into the pocket to the helicopter supervisor. In order to be a responsible husband, the comrade in me, who was supposed to work for the welfare of fellow beings, had to act selfish, like modern communists. Anyway, we reached Nepalgunj via Simikot on the very same day. Thereafter, we reached Lucknow after a 5 hours-long road journey that night. Some others in the group were also fortunate enough to reach there right after us. Waking up next morning and escaping with life on the first possible flight to Dubai, the thought of 3 lakh rupees spent on each person for travel alone kept wandering without salvation in my mind. When I reached home with a pledge in my mind to complete the parikrama left midway, once a kind-hearted Chinese develops Kailash into a good pilgrimage center with all amenities, news about our fellow pilgrims stranded in Hilsa flashed on my TV. Watching this, the communist in me, heaving a deep breath and quaffing down a cup of black tea, waited for hot paripu vadas.
ശിവനേ ഗിരിധരനേ കൈലാസേശ്വരനേ ശരണം തേടി വരുന്നു ഞങ്ങൾ മലപല തേറി വരുന്നു. ശിവനേ ഗിരിധരനേ കൈലാസേശ്വരനേ ശരണം തേടി വരുന്നു ഞങ്ങൾ മലപല തേറി വരുന്നു. കഥനം പറയണം കാലിൽ വീഴണം കനലായെരിയും കലഹമകറ്റണം. കഥനം പറയണം കാലിൽ വീഴണം കനലായെരിയും കലഹമകറ്റണം. കണ്ണീരൊപ്പാൻ നീ കനിയേണം കണ്ണീർ പൂക്കൾ മോക്ഷം നേടണം. ശിവനേ ഗിരിധരനേ കൈലാസേശ്വരനേ ശരണം തേടി വരുന്നു ഞങ്ങൾ മലപല തേറി വരുന്നു. കൈലാസത്തെ കൺകുളിർ കാണണം കൈകൾ കൂപ്പി നിന്നെ വണങ്ങണം. കൈലാസത്തെ കൺകുളിർ കാണണം കൈകൾ കൂപ്പി നിന്നെ വണങ്ങണം. കൈവല്യത്താൽ കോൾമയിർ കൊള്ളണം കൈ നീട്ടുമ്പോൾ കാരുണ്യമേകണം. ശിവനേ ഗിരിധരനേ കൈലാസേശ്വരനേ ശരണം തേടി വരുന്നു ഞങ്ങൾ മലപല തേറി വരുന്നു. മാനസരോവര കുളിരിൽ മുങ്ങി പാപം കഴുകുമ്പോൾ മാനസ ദുഃഖ ചൂളകെടുത്താൻ സാന്ത്വനമേകണം നീ. ശിവനേ ഗിരിധരനേ കൈലാസേശ്വരനേ ശരണം തേടി വരുന്നു ഞങ്ങൾ മലപല തേറി വരുന്നു. മാനസരോവര കുളിരിൽ മുങ്ങി പാപം കഴുകുമ്പോൾ മാനസ ദുഃഖ ചൂളകെടുത്താൻ സാന്ത്വനമേകണം നീ. മാലിന്യത്തിൽ മുങ്ങിയ ചിന്തകൾ തളിരുകൾ അണിയുമ്പോൾ മാഗന്ധത്തിൻ മധുരം നുണയും നാളുകളെത്തേണം. മാലിന്യത്തിൽ മുങ്ങിയ ചിന്തകൾ തളിരുകൾ അണിയുമ്പോൾ മാഗന്ധത്തിൻ മധുരം നുണയും നാളുകളെത്തേണം. ശിവനേ ഗിരിധരനേ കൈലാസേശ്വരനേ ശരണം തേടി വരുന്നു ഞങ്ങൾ മലപല തേറി വരുന്നു. ശിവനേ ഗിരിധരനേ കൈലാസേശ്വരനേ ശരണം തേടി വരുന്നു ഞങ്ങൾ മലപല തേറി വരുന്നു. ശിവനേ ഗിരിധരനേ കൈലാസേശ്വരനേ ശരണം തേടി വരുന്നു ഞങ്ങൾ മലപല തേറി വരുന്നു. ശിവനേ ഗിരിധരനേ കൈലാസേശ്വരനേ ശരണം തേടി വരുന്നു ഞങ്ങൾ മലപല തേറി വരുന്നു. ശിവനേ ഗിരിധരനേ കൈലാസേശ്വരനേ ശരണം തേടി വരുന്നു ഞങ്ങൾ മലപല തേറി വരുന്നു. ശിവനേ ഗിരിധരനേ